The sun is going down. You still have time to reach shelter. You do not run. Running now would be a mistake. Because right now, in this exact kind of light, you cannot tell what is 20 feet away. Not a lion, not a hyena, not another person. Your eyes are almost useless. And somewhere out there, something else's eyes are just getting started. For most of human history, this 10-minute window at dusk was the most dangerous part of the day. Not the hunt, not the storm, not even the predator itself. The failing light. Why would a species that survived lions, wolves, and each other still be more afraid of the dark itself? The answer is not really about monsters. It is about math. And the math is brutal. Picture a small group, maybe 15 people, camped on an open floodplain in East Africa, roughly 500,000 years ago. No walls, no locked doors, just bodies, a small fire, and whatever weapons they could sharpen by hand. As the light drops, the group tightens. Children are pulled closer to the center. Someone keeps feeding the fire, not for warmth, but because a flame is the only thing standing between them and total blindness. Nobody sleeps in a straight line facing outward. They sleep in a loose circle, backs turned inward, eyes on each other instead of the wilderness. Why would you turn your back on the danger? Because the real danger isn't a direction. It's an absence. It's not knowing where anything is at all. This is the scenario that repeated, almost unchanged, for hundreds of thousands of nights. And it built something into us that never fully switched off. Here is the revelation that changes everything. Humans were never actually the primary target of most nighttime predators. Lions prefer easier, quieter prey. Hyenas avoid large, noisy groups. The statistical odds of a healthy adult being killed by an ambush predator on any single night were relatively low. So if the odds were low, why does the fear feel so absolute? Because natural selection does not optimize for average outcomes. It optimizes for catastrophic ones. A 5% chance of death is not a 5% problem. It is a permanent, non-negotiable veto on the entire behavior. One unlucky night erases every gene you would have passed on. This is called asymmetric risk, and it explains why darkness itself, not any specific predator, became the trigger. Your ancestors who felt calm in low light did not necessarily die more often. But the ones who felt a specific, bone-deep unease survived at higher long-term rates, generation after generation, because that unease made them build fires, form groups, and stay alert during exactly the window where a single mistake could not be undone. Fear of the dark is not fear of a creature. It's a fear response tuned to uncertainty itself. And that distinction matters, because it means the fear was never really about lions at all. Now for the science. Human vision is genuinely terrible at night compared to almost every serious predator we evolved alongside. Lions, leopards, and hyenas all possess a reflective layer behind the retina called the tapetum lucidum, which bounces light back through the eye a second time. It's the reason animal eyes glow in headlights. Humans do not have this structure. Our night vision is roughly 6 to 8 times worse than a lion's. This gap is not a minor inconvenience. It's an entire sensory war humans were guaranteed to lose. Anthropologist and biologist Richard Wrangham, at Harvard, has argued that this vulnerability may be one of the central reasons fire became so critical to early hominins. In his research on cooking and fire use, Wrangham suggests controlled fire wasn't just about food. It was about buying back the one sense evolution never gave us. Fire didn't just illuminate. It leveled the playing field. A flame extends the range at which a human can detect movement, and just as importantly, it pushes most large predators back, since many carnivores instinctively avoid open fire. For a species with poor night vision, weak claws, and no fangs, fire was not a convenience. It was the single piece of technology that let humans sleep on open ground at all. But here's a question worth sitting with. If fire solved the physical danger, why does the fear of darkness still exist in humans who have never once faced a nighttime predator? Because evolution does not delete instincts the moment they stop being useful. It only stops reinforcing them. The fear is a fossil, still fully wired, running in a world that no longer requires it. The archaeological record backs this up with remarkable precision. At Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa, archaeologist Francesco Berna and his team identified burned bone and ash dated to roughly 1 million years ago, among the earliest strong evidence of controlled fire use by early humans anywhere on Earth. This wasn't an accident of nature. The burn patterns showed characteristics consistent with deliberate, maintained fires, not wildfire debris. At Gesher Banat Yaakov in Israel, archaeologist Nama Goraninbar uncovered evidence of repeated, controlled fire use dating back roughly 790,000 years, with burned flint and wood clustered in specific locations across multiple layers of occupation. Not a single fire. A pattern. Generation after generation, in the same spots, doing the same thing at the same time of day. And anthropologist Polly Wiesner, studying the modern-day Jew/Hoansi San people of the Kalahari, documented something striking about behavior after dark. During the day, conversation revolved around practical matters, complaints, and disputes. But once night fell and the fire was lit, the entire tone shifted towards storytelling, myth, and shared history. Darkness didn't just create danger. It created ritual. It forced people together into the same small circle of light, night after night, for tens of thousands of years. Here's the twist that reframes the entire story. The fear of darkness may not have evolved primarily to protect individuals from predators at all. It may have evolved to force social bonding. A lone human in the dark was doomed regardless of predators, vulnerable to accidents, exposure, and disorientation. A group in the dark, huddled around light, sharing warmth and stories, survived. The emotion we call fear of the dark might actually be a survival mechanism aimed at keeping the group physically together, not a direct predator detection system at all. That reframes the entire emotion. It was never purely about the danger outside the circle. It was about maintaining the circle itself. Think about what that means for you tonight. When you feel a flicker of unease walking to your car in an empty parking lot, or when you instinctively want a light on somewhere in the house before you fall asleep, you are not being irrational. You are running software written by hundreds of thousands of ancestors who did not survive by being brave. They survived by being appropriately, usefully afraid, and by staying close to other people when the light disappeared. Modern life has mostly removed the predators. It has not removed the circuitry. Streetlights, phone flashlights, night lights in children's bedrooms. None of these are modern inventions of comfort. They are the campfire, rebuilt in 1,000 new shapes, still doing the exact same job it did 1,000,000 years ago at Wonderwerk Cave. So maybe the fear was never really about what might be hiding in the dark. Maybe it was always a fear of being alone in it. And if that's true, then every time you reach for a light switch, you are not escaping the wilderness. You are still, quietly, calling your ancestors' fire circle back into existence.